I want to share with you something that's happened here in Canada. Now, it's a little bit of a longer story than it was a couple of days ago, but I'm kind of glad I waited on it. A grocery store chain here in Canada, Loblaws, they have about a 30% market share in our country. And they have grocery stores from one coast to the other. And one of the things you can do, if you go in late at night or early the next morning, you can buy things, like perishables. So fruits, vegetables, bakery stuff, and meats. You can buy that stuff for like 50% off. Because it's the last day it's the last day they're allowed to sell it, and so you can buy that stuff for like 50% off. On Monday this past week, they announced, that's it, we're done with this. We're getting rid of the 50%. The highest we're going to offer now is 30%. Now 30% is still a pretty good deal, but 50% was great. And they've decided, no, we're not doing the 50% anymore. We're only going to do the 30%. And there was huge public outcry. As a matter of fact, a federal MP even wanted to bring them in front of even wanted to investigate them. And I forget how they wanted to investigate, but they wanted Parliament to investigate. Wanted to investigate Loblaws and that corporation for doing this. Now, last year, Loblaws had record profits, and their profits have been through the roof for a couple of years now. Because inflation hit, and so when inflation hits, your profits go through the roof. Not how that works, by the way, but that's what they claimed. Well, it was inflation, and that's why we made so much money. Now, right off the top, I don't believe the government has any right to come in and start telling business how to operate. And I don't actually believe that the government wants them to lower their prices, because if they lower their prices, then the government gets less tax revenue. If the government gets less tax revenue, then the budget doesn't look all that good. I don't think it's in the government's best interest to make corporations lower their prices. I think it's in their interest to make the public believe they're just as angered and outraged by what these corporations are doing. Anyhow, after a week of bad publicity, and after a week of their excuses being shoved back down their throat, like at one point they said, we're going to get rid of the 50%, but we're going to give discounts on other things. That's not it. You're missing the point. On Friday, Loblaws announced that we're putting the 50% back. We're going to go back. We're repenting. We are repenting of taking away that extra 20%, and we're going to go back to a full 50% on some products. It's just going to take us a couple of weeks to get there. Now, I got to be clear. Nobody ever said Loblaws has to give that discount. They don't have to give 50%. They don't have to give 30%. They never at any point ever had to do that at all. They easily could have just left that stuff on the shelf and put a sticker on it that said, should eat today. Or not. They don't even have to do that, really, according to law. They could just let it sit on the shelf, and then if somebody buys it today, they better, you should probably eat that today, because it's buyer be warned, right? So they never ever had to give that discount. But the thing that struck me in all this, I just imagined the meeting. I just imagined the meeting that, okay, boys, we had great profits last year. Great profits last year. Does anybody have any ideas how we can increase our profits this year? Well, I got one. What if we got rid of the 50% off and just gave them 30% off? That way, we're getting 20% back. All that's 20% back on a 50. That used to be 50% off, which means that's just pure profit. right? Because we were already writing off 50%. Now we only have to write off 30%. We're in the money. That's like a few, I don't know, maybe $1 million, a couple $1 million, or hundreds of thousands of dollars in pure profit just by doing that one thing. Well, who's going to be impacted by this? Well, not people we need to worry about. The people that buy those 50% off things, they don't spend a lot of money, right? And they have to. They have to come to us. They're coming for the discount. They're going to keep coming. They're just not going to get the same discount. And like I said, they're not the big spenders, right? And they would be right. They're not. This change impacted the poorest Canadians. I know people who go to the grocery store at 9:30 at night. There's people right there now, 9:48 here, closes at 10. There are people right now looking for that 50% off because this is the only way they can afford fresh produce. And this is the only way they can afford fresh baked goods. And this is the only way they can afford fresh meat and chicken and fish, is with this 50% off. So I was imagining that meeting in their corporate headquarters, talking about how they can make even more profits this year, and thinking it was a good idea to knock 20% off, to take away 20% of that discount, because it really doesn't impact any of the big shoppers, any of the big spenders. It impacts the people who are bargain hunting, and they're not buying anything at full rate anyway. In the Bible, there's a thing called gleaning. And we see it in Leviticus. Leviticus 19. When you reap the harvest of your land. Now this is your land, right? So the harvest of your land. You planted it, you tended it, you weeded it, you put all the work into it. It's yours. But when you reap the harvest of your land, of your work, you shall not reap to the very edges of the field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall not strip the vineyard bare, or gather the fallen grapes of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and for the alien. I am the Lord your God. Leaving these things there for the poor was essential for the society and for the communities. It gave everybody a chance. It gave everybody a chance to eat. It gave everybody a chance to be nurtured. These aren't people that work for you. These aren't people that pitched in. These aren't people that helped you plant. These aren't people that helped you weed. These aren't people that helped you care for your land. These are just people. Passerbys. Foreigners, strangers in a strange land, people that can't work, people that don't want to work. It makes no distinction. Yes, this is your land. Yes, you did the work. Yes, you planted the crops. Yes, you paid for the seed. Yes, you paid the workers. No, do not take it all. Leave some for others. I'm thinking, maybe it's time. We always talk about, the things we don't teach the next. Nobody's teaching kids to do this, and nobody's teaching the kids to do that. Maybe it's time we start teaching our children when enough is enough. Corporations don't seem to get it, right? These massive corporations, again, this one grocery store chain has about a 30% market share. 1 in 3 Canadians have to buy from them. There are communities out there. Now, when I say have to buy, there are communities out there in Canada who only have the one grocery store, and it's these guys. They have to buy from these guys. They don't know when enough is enough. They've had massive profits for years. They're not struggling. This clawback wasn't about paying their bills. It wasn't about paying their salaries. It wasn't about paying their staff. It wasn't about keeping the doors open. This clawback was about, pure and simple, about profit, because they don't know when enough is enough. We do need to begin teaching our children this principle from Leviticus. When you reap the harvest of your land, of your work, you shall not reap to the very edges of your field. Leave it for the poor and for the foreigner. Don't pick this clean. Don't take all of it. Leave some. Take enough and leave some. This, despite the fact that they repented, despite the fact that they rolled back the idea. It's a great indicator that these folks don't know when enough is enough. It doesn't matter to them that Canadians, and I'm certain it's happening in other countries as well. It doesn't matter to them that Canadians are struggling. It doesn't matter to them that their customers can't afford to buy as much as they have been. It doesn't matter to them at all. They just want more, because enough is never enough. And I know I did a video once before about something, and somebody said, well, yeah, but these corporations give a whole bunch back in charity. Lower your prices and let me give to charity as I am able. Lower your prices and let the people give to charity as we are able. I don't need your help being charitable. I am perfectly capable of being charitable. Anyhow, let's teach our children enough is enough, and to leave some for others. Amen.